Good morning. Welcome to the third annual California College Affordability Summit. My name is Christiane Hernandez, and I will be your moderator tech for this breakout session. I'm here to provide virtual support for both you and the presenter during the presentation. All attendees have been muted, so we ask that you put your questions in the chat or at the end of the presentation if time allows. You can also raise your hand on the icon and we will be happy to unmute you to ask your question. Should you have any questions or need assistance with the Zoom interface, you can use the chat icon on the toolbar at the bottom of your screen, search for my name, and send a direct private message to me. I will do my best to provide assistance to resolve your concern. It is my pleasure to now introduce you to your presenters for this session titled Summer Melt Prevention, How Programs and Colleges Can Work Together, presented by Janae Aptaker, Meredith Curry, Chrisman Innocentes Bell, Christopher Whitmore, and Dr. Eve Shapiro.
Christiane, thank you so much. Everyone, welcome to our session. My name is Meredith Curry. I go by Mare. My pronouns are she, her. I'm in East San Jose, and I'm the Executive Director of the Northern California College Promise Coalition, or simply the Coalition. I'm excited to be here with you this morning with 4 of our members to discuss warm and intentional handoffs as a critical part of our strategies to support first-time college-going, low-income and students of color as they prepare for and transition to college. First, we would like to thank CSAC for the opportunity to be part of this year's California College Affordability Summit and are grateful that it has returned for a 3rd year. Huge thanks to the Education Trust West and Riverside County Office of Education for their leadership in this summit. For our session, please use the chat to interact with the panelists and access resources that we will share. And go ahead and post any questions there as well at any time during the session. If we can't get to your questions, we'll be sure to follow up with you after today. So next, I will introduce you to the Coalition and our panel, and then hand off the panel to our capable moderator who will lead us through a discussion of our members' strategies around summer melt. We hope that you all leave today's session with tips and tricks that you can implement around summer melt, if not now, then perhaps later this year. The Coalition, or NCCPC, believes that post-secondary impact is leveraged when Promise programs and college access and success organizations unite through collaboration. With all the hurdles students must overcome to apply to college, complete college, and launch their careers, it's critical we work together as opposed to in silos to bridge gaps in services and provide a coordinated care approach to meeting the needs of our most vulnerable students. The Coalition solution was to come together in November 2019 and cultivate a regional effort to bring together leaders and resources who share leadership over the shape of college success efforts in the Northern California region through governance, policy, and campus and workforce partnerships. Our members include mayors in cities like Mayor Schaaf of Oakland, Mayor Liccardo of San Jose, and Mayor Burritt of San Francisco. It includes programs like Students Rising Above and 10,000 Degrees, Ed Tech like MoneyThink, and K-12 like KIPP Northern California and Summit Public Schools. You'll get to know a few of our members more deeply in our upcoming panel. It's now my pleasure to introduce our panel, which includes esteemed leaders from steering committee members Beyond 12, OneGoal Bay Area, Richmond Promise, and Stockton Scholars. So first, welcome to Chrisman Innocentes Bell, the Executive Director of OneGoal Bay Area. In the Bay, OneGoal partners with 6 high schools across 3 districts to integrate post-secondary planning into the school day. OneGoal Bay Area is coalition building to grow in the East Bay, expand within Southern Alameda County and into the South Bay, so that they can work towards serving 5,000 students annually by 2030. Dr. Eve Shapiro is the Chief Knowledge Officer at Beyond 12. Beyond 12 is increasing the number of low-income, first-generation, and historically underrepresented students who graduate from college. In partnership with high schools and colleges, their platform and coaches provide students with the academic, social, and emotional support they need to succeed in higher education and in life. Christopher Whitmore is the Executive Director of the Richmond Promise, a founding steering committee member of NCCPC. They are a community-wide college success initiative that is actively building a college graduation culture in Richmond. Through a college scholarship, cross-sector partnerships, and programming, they aim to ensure all students excel to become change-making leaders in the community. Our panel will be facilitated by Janae Aptaker, the Director of Stockton Scholars Program and Strategy with the Reinvent Stockton Foundation. Also a founding steering committee member, Stockton Scholars provides support, resources, and mentorship to make the college process simple and achievable for the young people of Stockton. And I'm also proud to introduce Janae, who is the Vice Chair of NCCPC's Steering Committee. Note that you can learn more about our esteemed panelists in SCED by checking out their bios and by accessing our deck, which has their bios towards the end. I'll now turn it over to Janae to facilitate a discussion around summer melt best practices with our panel.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much, Mayor. It's really a pleasure to be here today. I'm going to get us started because we have a juicy conversation ahead of us. I'm going to start out with, we want to talk a little bit about what is summer melt and what do students need to successfully enroll in college. But I'll give you a little bit of background about the Stockton Scholars program, and then also why we're very interested in moderating this panel today. So Stockton Scholars was founded in 2018 by our former mayor, Michael Tubbs, who really desired to invest in the next generation of Stocktonians. We have a long history of disinvestment, in particular in the educational pipeline in Stockton. And so a $20 million donation was provided for us to be able to share scholarships with students over the next 10 years, beginning in 2019. We do pride ourselves on being more than just a scholarship though. So we offer a number of supplemental resources and services, including mentorship, college and career success conferences, and a lot of other programs such as our College Ambassadors program to support our students. Just to give you a little bit of background, so far we have supported over 3,000 students and distributed over $3 million in scholarship funds to students across Stockton. And we're very excited to continue that work through or beyond the class of 2029. So why I want to share a little bit about San Joaquin County and Stockton and just some of the stats. So currently, only 60% of high school students successfully enroll into college. So that's of the students who actually graduate, only 60% move on to enroll in college. And coupled with that stat countywide, only 17.5% of adults over the age of 24 successfully complete college and then attain a degree. And that's just within the city of Stockton. So with that, and then our first touch point being with students in 11th and 12th grade, it became apparent to our team very quickly that we would need to invest and start working with students earlier in order to successfully accomplish our mission. So we will be launching very soon our Early College and Career Academy to support with expanding programs and working with students and families as early as 7th grade. We know that seed planting is important, and also making sure that our students are prepared is a huge part of preventing summer melt when you have that information ahead of time. We'll also have a parent track in there so that we can effectively make sure our parents know how to advocate for our young people and support them in moving forward. So I'm going to actually go ahead and pass it over to my colleague, Chris Whitmore from the Richmond Promise. Stockton Scholars actually modeled a lot of our programming, and we did some background research with the Richmond Promise prior to launching our program. So Chris, I'd love to hand it over to you just to hear a little bit more about what you all are doing to prevent summer melt and what students need.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Christopher Whitmore, and I am the Executive Director of the Richmond Promise in beautiful Richmond, California. And I'll be answering this first question. So we'll move on to the next slide, please. So first, let's talk about what summer melt is. So the National College Attainment Network, NCAN, defines summer melt as the phenomenon of college intending students who have applied to, been accepted by, made a deposit to a college or university, but failed to matriculate to that college or any other in the fall following their high school graduation. NCAN estimates that every year between 10% and 40% of high school students who have every intention of enrolling in college for the following fall semester never actually do so. Underrepresented students on college campuses, like students of color, students from low-income backgrounds, and first-generation students are the most likely to experience summer melt. So if you're an organization like the Richmond Promise or serve the population that we serve, summer melt is probably an important challenge that you're addressing or seeking to address. Move on to the next slide, please. The Richmond Promise was launched in 2016 to build a college graduating culture in the city of Richmond. Nowadays, we modify our language a bit to say that we are actively building a culture of post-secondary success in Richmond, understanding that there are different pathways to higher education beyond what is traditionally thought of as college. So starting as early as middle school, our work aims to address barriers to higher education access and success for Richmond students in the areas of post-secondary affordability, post-secondary preparedness, post-secondary success, and career success. Move on to the next slide, please. Together, our team and board of directors work to carry out our mission to promote social and educational equity by removing barriers and creating pathways to build a post-secondary education where every Richmond student excels from high school to higher education, attains a post-secondary degree or certification, thrives in the field of their choice, and becomes a leader of positive change in their community and the world. We'll move on to the next slide, please. So taking a quick look at our Richmond Promise Scholar Snapshot, you can see here that the Richmond Promise currently has over 1,900 scholars enrolled in our program overall. Of that total number, around 1,300 of our scholars are enrolled in post-secondary courses. So this, of course, means that some of our scholars are not currently enrolled in classes. You can also see here that we currently have over $16 million pledged in scholarships, with over $7 million having been paid out in scholarships so far. You can also see here that 68% of our scholars identify as first-generation college students, otherwise known as the first person in their family to attend college. 70% of our scholars come from low-income backgrounds, and a vast majority of our student population are students of color, as you can see there on the screen. Close to 60% of our students attend four-year institutions, while a little over 40% of our students attend two-year institutions, and our students proudly represent Richmond at around 219 colleges and universities around the country. So while our student population is certainly thriving, you can see from these demographics that our population is also very susceptible to summer melt, going back to the definition from NCAN that I provided earlier. And we'll go on to the next slide, please. So there was another part of the question that I want to address, and it is, what do students need to enroll in college successfully? So I'm going to go into a lot more detail about this in the next question, but for now, I'll just say that the Richmond Promise learned early on that our students need frequent and personalized outreach and support over the summer. Our scholars need community-wide support, including early support from their peers, And our scholars need wraparound services that extend just beyond a scholarship. So I'll leave you with that for now. And again, I'll go into more detail about how we're addressing summer melt in question number 2. So I will pass it back to Janae for the next question.
Yeah, and thank you for that, Chris. Those strategies alone are super powerful. And just from those examples that you gave, we can see how critical it is to get our students excited and hype them up, not only to have the general concept that going to college is important, but not resting at the acceptance or decision-making part of the higher education process. We need to get students to stay focused on enrolling. And so I want to open that question up to 10,000 Degrees and OneGoal Bay Area. What strategies have proven effective for you? Beginning with 10,000 Degrees.
Oh.
You're right, Chrisman, go ahead.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thanks again for joining us today to discuss this really important topic. My name is Chrisman Innocentes Bell, and I proudly serve as the OneGoal Executive Director here in the Bay Area. OneGoal focuses on supporting the most vulnerable students during 3 crucial transition years of 11th and 12th grade and the first year of post-secondary. For the first 2 years of our program, we deliver OneGoal as a credit-bearing class offered during the school day. After graduation, our fellows receive post-secondary coaching for 1 year. OneGoal is a national organization. We operate in 6 regions across the country, and our work here in the Bay Area launched in 2017. Over these last 15 years, we've refined and adapted key elements of our model to really meet the diverse and unique needs of each student. Our holistic and student-centered approach puts the student at the center of everything that we do, from curriculum grounded in culturally relevant pedagogy, to social emotional learning and identity development, to the blended learning approach that we use in our classrooms. Our coaching and advising is robust, it's comprehensive, and it's flexible. Next slide, please. As a 3-year program, one of our biggest aims is to bridge the gap between high school and post-secondary. And since we began working with students in junior year, we're able to start laying that foundation for the kind of support students are going to need in the summer before matriculation as early as possible. And so there are a few ways we go about doing this. As I mentioned, an important tenet of our work is culturally relevant pedagogy. And for 11th and 12th grade curriculum, it's grounded in that culturally relevant pedagogy. It supports students with feeling affirmed in their identities, understanding their personal motivations for pursuing post-secondary education, and students are able to reflect on their values, their strengths, their identities, and draw the connection between who they are, their definitions of success, and their post-secondary aspirations. We really believe that these types of connections to their aspirations, their why, is crucial to students feeling grounded while they're on path in their post-secondary journey. And ultimately, it's going to play the important role of what's keeping them focused to persist and complete. A strong sense of community and relationships are also central to this process. So during senior year, students prepare for their post-secondary transition by engaging in dialogue about power and privilege. They learn about challenges like imposter syndrome and navigating predominantly white institutions as students of color, and identifying the resources and communities that they can rely on for support. They also connect with alumni who are currently in college to learn more about their experiences and use these resources to put together a transition plan. In the spring, they participate in a series of enrollment transition workshops and get connected with their summer coach. So by the time students start to engage with summer coaching during the summer after high school graduation, our hope is that they feel grounded in a deep sense of ownership of the goals that they've set for themselves, and they're familiar with the key tools and the resources and the people that they can rely on for support.
Okay, beyond 12, let's hear some of your strategies.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Janae. So glad to be here with everyone. I'm Eve Shapiro, Chief Knowledge Officer at Beyond 12. And Beyond 12 is a high-tech, high-touch coaching organization that supports first-generation, primarily Black and Brown students through college. We begin working with students in the end of their senior year of high school, and we partner with high schools, college access organizations, Promise programs such as Richmond Promise and OneGoal, and colleges and universities. And we really work to augment the existing supports and resources that students have and pair them with a near-peer college coach that works virtually over the first 2 years of college typically. We have been lucky in these COVID times to always have been a virtual coaching organization. So we work with students nationally and are able to follow them wherever they go, though we have a deep footprint and commitment to California. We combine this coaching work with a mobile app called My Coach and also Grad Guru, which is focused at the 2-year college experience. And these apps use evidence-based nudges and translate the best components of our coaching curriculum to an app platform so that students have always accessible information and are able to manage some of the transactional requirements of college, such as deadline tracking, and also have a place to connect with coaches and ask questions in between coaching conversations. These two components are also augmented by an analytics platform that really helps us understand how to meet students where they are. Powered by machine learning, we're able to use the robust data that we gather in the process of coaching and from students and our partners to really understand which students need help around what issues and when. And we're able to really meet students where they are at scale. What this means, Mary, if you go to the next slide, what this means for our college summer melt work is that we begin with a human touch point in the spring of students' high school year. And we provide transition workshops that are in partnership with our organizations and really help students understand what the summer process is, normalize the concerns, and really try to answer questions at the very moment that students have the most uncertainty and the least amount of resources, which is over that summer before matriculation. From there, we stay in contact with students through the summer through a text-based messaging campaign that we align and coordinate with our partner organizations. And through those summer melt messages, we're really able to both provide personalized support, offer students a place to elevate concerns where we can pair them with a coach for emergent issues, but also learn a lot about where students are. And that's one of the things that's been really powerful for us, that these summer text conversations have been great learning moments for us to really understand how engaged students are, where how likely they are to engage with coaching and elevate concerns, and where the places are we might want to connect with our partner organizations to make sure somebody is reaching out to students because they have shifted away from a focus on engagement. And finally, this culminates in beginning a partnership and relationship with a near peer coach at the point of matriculation. And that summer connection really bridges directly to the coaching relationship, and students are able to pick up with a coach that meets with them typically 2 times a month over the phone or a video chat, and then always responsive by text.
Thanks so much, Eve.
Great, thank you very much. And looks like it's back to the Richmond Promise. So as I mentioned earlier, the Richmond Promise was launched in 2016. So what you're looking at are summer melt percentages from our first and second year in existence. When our program first launched, we only offered a scholarship to our students. That same year, around 1/3 of our students experienced summer melt. Recognizing that something needed to change quickly, our organization introduced multifaceted summer bridge programming in 2017, and we saw our summer melt rate reduced to 12%, and our summer melt rate has never exceeded 12% since 2017. So let's talk about how we keep summer melt so low. Next slide, please. Thank you. We found that engagement with scholars over the summer makes a huge difference in our students actually beginning their higher education journeys. So we call students on the phone, otherwise known as old school outreach to some of our scholars. We use Salesforce and a sub-platform called Mowgli to send personalized and bulk messages to students that keep them updated on deadlines, available resources, and programs that can help prepare them for their fall semester. We also use Copilot to build out customized tools that we use to facilitate and streamline scholar success tracking. And we recently started using form assembly to enhance our ability to hone in on who needs extra attention and support. So through these digital support systems, we are able to stay on top of details like who's enrolled in classes and completed necessary paperwork, who's claimed their scholarship money, who's engaging with our outreach, and these details and more really help us understand how summer melt is playing out within our student population and how we can address it. Move to the next slide, please. We also activate robust programming over the summer that includes student employees called near-peer ambassadors, helping our incoming students navigate paperwork and other logistics that may be required prior to the start of the academic year. Hosting college success workshops that allow students to gain insight on how to be successful as post-secondary students. And we utilize partnerships with college advisors and first-year experience offices, student success coaches from Beyond 12, and our student employees to ensure that scholars are connected with helpful resources and friendly faces before they even step on college campuses. Next slide, please. In addition to the college success workshops, we host a program called Richmond Promise 101, which is required for all of our new students. Through these programs, we orient students to the range of support that our organization provides them, help them complete paperwork for our organization, connect them with college partners and people who will support them through their education, and help them connect with current Richmond Promise scholars and broader community members. Through college success workshops, scholars are required to participate in workshops that may pertain to topics like financial literacy, how to navigate higher education as a first-generation student, how to get support as an undocumented student, and more. And I have one more slide here, and we'll take a quick look at our program milestones from our summer programming in 2021. So you can see here that we supported over 400 incoming scholars through student panels and workshops. We facilitated over 250 one-on-one near-peer coaching sessions. And you can see here that 91% of our first-year students claimed their scholarships and enrolled on time for their first terms or semesters. So we're really proud of that. And I will pass it back to Janae.
Thanks again, Chris. I love several of those strategies. The mobile app sounds incredible, and we know students are always in their phones these days, so I'm sure that's very effective. And the RP 101 is actually something that we're looking to also develop as we continue to structure the Stockton Scholars program. But just to jump onto our next question, we really do need to double down with our students and make sure that they have a plan. I'd love to hear from a couple folks about how we're doing that, how we're making sure our students are staying on the path, and any sort of tracking services you all have as well. And for that, I'll pass it over to Chrisman.
Thanks, Janae. So at OneGoal, we support all of our fellows for the first year out of high school, regardless of enrollment status. During the summer after graduation, all of our fellows can expect to meet with a coach at least once a month. They receive weekly text nudges and a monthly newsletter, and our fellows can also request emergency funding to address financial obstacles that stand in the way of their enrollment. And we understand that young people have unique needs, and it's important to really differentiate the kind of support that they receive in order to combat some amount. We determine the level of support that a fellow might need by gathering information on key enrollment indicators before the summer. So for example, in the spring of senior year, we collect information from students on where they intend to enroll, what enrollment steps they've completed, whether they've enrolled in a campus support program at their intended institution, and any challenges that they anticipate needing support with. Before graduating, all students have a one-on-one check-in with a coach or OneGoal teacher to review their plans. And during that meeting, we work with students to determine the level of support that they're going to need from their OneGoal summer support coach. So this can fall anywhere from weekly, which is high touch, to monthly check-ins, low touch. If a student is undecided or has a number of enrollment steps they need to complete, they'll likely start with weekly check-ins in the summer. So in addition to leveraging these spring check-ins to plan our summer and our year 3 support, we also use this time to connect students who are interested in longer-term coaching with our partner, Beyond 12, which provides 2 years of post-secondary coaching for a subset of our fellows. This is a new partnership between our organizations born out of the need that we saw during the pandemic with the graduating classes of 2020 and 2021. It was really clear that the students in these classes would need longer-term support because of the outsized impact the pandemic had on the first years of their post-secondary pathways. So we're very happy to be partnering with Beyond 12. During the check-ins with undecided and unenrolled fellows, a coach really strives to meet them where they are and understand what obstacles they're encountering. During these touch points, a coach might partner with the student to troubleshoot academic, social, or financial challenges. They may revisit earlier curriculum related to reflecting on values and aspirations, or explore alternative pathway options that offer maybe a more flexible path to a degree or certification that fits into what the student needs at that time.
And Mare, if you have anything you want to add, that would be great.
Yes, I just wanted to note also on this topic that for those of you who are planning to attend both days of this summit, which I encourage you to, tomorrow's 9:40 a.m. sessions include 2 of our members, US Fire and MoneyThink, who will expand on some of this idea of evaluating financial aid offers and really thinking about affordability with your students, so that we're considering how our discussions with students around fit and match can incorporate discussions around affordability. And I wanted to also note that if you're missing CCGI sessions because you're here with us, which we're so glad you're here with us, encourage you to check out the recordings from this morning's sessions on California colleges, because it is a free platform. It's available to students as early as middle school, and it's an integral part of the state's cradle to career data system. So as we're thinking about different tools to help meet students where they are, to help them think about their plans, iterate those plans, continue to research factors like majors to inform selections of colleges, careers to inform what they'll make after their major selections. Those are additional tools I'd encourage you to explore after the summit. Thanks, Janae.
Thanks so much for plugging those additional workshops. We hope you all enjoy them. So the next question is actually one that I'm truly fascinated with. At Stockton Scholars, we're in the beginning stages of this, but we know we can't underestimate the power of using data to engage and re-engage our strategies and our effectiveness. We also need partner collaboration to support as many students as possible. So we're gonna dive into a discussion about ways to be collaborative and both data-centric. I can share a little bit from our perspective as a newer program. So we're currently using Salesforce, and we've had to build that database from scratch, but we've learned a lot along the way and also had the opportunity to explore the capabilities of Salesforce. But one of the things that we've been able to do is we can update our FERPA in real time to support data sharing needs within partnerships as we continue to develop them. It also helps us properly track our students and pull information to have that real-time engagement. One of our goals is to begin doing a deeper dive in data analysis to initiate studies on the rate of scholarship attrition and completion, and to really just monitor how our students are doing and follow up with them as well. So we've only scratched the surface of what Salesforce can do. So we're going to continue to work with that. We're also exploring a mobile app and a couple other technology features that will help us really expand our reach with students. The other way that we're utilizing data-centric strategies is through MOUs and data sharing agreements. We know those can move mountains because we can't do anything without information about our students. So we collaborate with programs who are in alignment with our mission and strategies, and we found it to just be essential. So we started out when we launched the program with an MOU with the largest school district in our city. And there were several pieces of that agreement that helped us to remove barriers for students. One example of those is students do have to have a minimum of a 2.0 GPA to qualify for our scholarship. So for the first several years, we were sent over the data for all seniors on their GPA just to confirm so that they didn't have to backtrack and get their transcripts and whatnot. So that was super helpful and helped provide real-time results of high school completion as well. We also collaborated with the head guidance counseling team at the district level to organize follow-ups with students. And so we would follow up in a number of ways, again, Salesforce, email, but having that dual voice to be able to reinforce those next steps just really provided us supports enabled to help our students move forward. One other example of a partnership in MOU is we partner with our local and only public higher education institution in Stockton, outside of an extension of another college or university. So that's San Joaquin Delta College. And through our 5-year MOU with that organization, we've been able to track enrollment. We're currently collaborating on a student success and first year experience program to really facilitate that move and that completion of the enrollment into community college. About 2/3 of our students attend Delta College prior to transferring to other colleges and universities in Stockton. Various reasons, but it's a great institution to support our students. We have similar efforts with our local private four-year college or university, University of the Pacific. And we're able to do some data exchange to make the scholarship disbursement process much smoother. We print thousands of checks. So far, there's been over 3,000 throughout our first couple of years. So that really is helpful when we're able to just do a massive fund exchange and transfer. So that's pretty much for Stockton Scholars, but this area I do want to learn a lot more from so we can expand our services in San Joaquin County. So I'd love to hear more from Beyond 12.
Thanks, Janae. And I'm following up with you about this FERPA component. I'm very curious about how that works. Thanks so much. I think you've hit on such important points around the power of sharing data with each other. We don't have good systems in higher education to work across all the programs and supports that students are receiving. And yet that's the way that we truly have insight into what's happening with our students and can see some of the patterns and trends and learn from those for future cohorts, as well as really meet students where they are in the moment with all the supports available to them. So at Beyond 12, that's a core component of what we do. We really provide a data and insights platform so that our College Promise and higher ed institutional partners are able to see a holistic view of students that draws together data collected in the work of coaching or the summer text and summer melt campaigns, as well as from higher ed institutions, college access programs, and from students themselves, and also from National Student Clearinghouse to really be able to track things like transfers and dual enrollment. The power of that is that we're really able to understand students' experience holistically and not always return to the student to provide those kinds of information about their experience that we know is really exhausting for students. To your point, Janae, the number of times students get asked their GPA or to provide a transcript is astronomical, and it's tiring, and it shifts the focus away from the student's experience and need. One of the places that has been really powerful for us is actually in our summer melt campaigns. So we found, looking through the data we've collected over the last 10 years, really strong correlations between summer responsiveness and students' engagement with coaching and ongoing persistence and completion in college. So we took those insights and built a predictive model that allows us to target more coaching outreach to students based on predictions around their incoming level of support they will need to persist and complete, and predictions around how much outreach they will need to engage meaningfully with us as their coach or with their college access program, something we talk about as affinity. So by using the Summer Melt campaign, both to deliver meaningful support and connection to students, but also to capture data about responsiveness to messaging and gather some key critical components of data from students themselves through quick and easy text questions. We're able to bring that together with the partner-provided data that our partners share with us and understand, even before the first coaching touch point, which students should receive more outreach. And what that's allowed us to do in the last year is provide twice as much outreach to students that we thought had low affinity, so that they would need a lot of outreach to connect with us or their support programs, and that had high levels of need of support. And one thing to note, at Beyond 12, 95% of the students that we have served historically and continue to serve are in our first generation Black and Brown students, and we don't use demographics in any of our modeling. So we're really seeing the student for who they are, not the categories of students or demographic categories that they inhabit. And what this meant is that through no additional effort cumulatively, On the part of coaches, we increased early engagement among the students that need that outreach the most by 11%, simply by focusing our attention on the students that we could see had the highest incoming need and the need for the most support. And so we're really excited about that effort to differentiate the amount of support and the kind of support we provide to students based on who they are and what their needs are in the moment. And excited to see how that can happen even before the start of the coaching relationship.
Thank you, Eve, for just continuing to share these powerful strategies. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on to Mare for the strategies, and then we'll do a few takeaways from each of the panelists.
Thanks, Janae. And I think actually we can use this as that opportunity for the panelists. So Chris, it'd be great to hear from you as we close out. What takeaway do you have for people based on everything that you've shared?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. My takeaway is, whether you're a college promise organization like us, whether you're working in a high school helping students matriculate to higher education, whether you work in higher education, it's really important to keep in mind that students often need more than a scholarship or financial support to successfully matriculate into post-secondary education. When we think about young students of color, first-generation students, low-income students, we have to keep in mind that these young people have had inequities surrounding them in their lives and creating barriers in their lives for quite some time. And so as opposed to just giving a scholarship check or supporting financially, we must meet that surrounding presence of inequity by providing wraparound services and surrounding them with equity. So my takeaway is to think larger than a scholarship and provide those services that meet scholars at the point in time in their lives that they need the most support.
Thank you. Eve.
Thanks. Yeah, Chris, I couldn't double click on that fast or hard enough. I think you're absolutely right. And students need different things based on who they are and their particular circumstances. We all know that in theory, but in practice, it's very difficult to meet the needs of many different students for who they are in the moment and in the place that they are. And I think the real opportunity here is through collaboration, working in partnership with each other, bridging across high school, college access and promise programs, and higher education institutions, that it's through those partnerships that we're really going to be able to see students' needs and meet them where they are in ways that feel meaningful, relevant, and holistic to their college experiences and the kind of support that they deserve.
Chrisman, do you have a takeaway you want to share?
Well, I'm gonna quadruple click on what Eve just shared because my takeaway is that coalition building truly is how we're gonna get further together in impacting the work that we all want to do, which is address educational inequity. We are all in collaboration, intentional collaboration. I know that we'll be able to build the capacity to address the needs, the unique needs that individual students have, and make sure that every young person has those tools, the resources, the support that they need to fulfill whatever their highest post-secondary aspirations are. I'm really, really grateful and proud to be in coalition with my colleagues on this call and in our work with the Northern California College Promise Coalition, because through this intentional collaboration, like you're seeing here today, we have the opportunity to exponentially increase our impact and ultimately support more Bay Area students on their path to achieving a family-sustaining wage, economic mobility, and truly living passion and purpose-driven lives, which is what every student deserves.
+1 and quadruple click to everything each panelist had to share. To not repeat that, I would say my takeaway is it's never too late If you can implement at least one of these strategies, then you will help more students with your complete their intended pathway, excuse me. And then scholarships are just one part of that. So making sure that you have the most effective wraparound support services, monitoring data, adapting your strategies as needed is critical. And time is of the essence. Our students they're facing a pandemic. Many of them are navigating their higher education experience right now through that. And we want to be able to support them and make sure that our current high school students are moving forward to enroll into higher education. So having that continuous quality improvement process with your programming is key. And I want to thank you all. I'm going to pass it over to Mayor to give us the final closeout.
Thank you so much, everybody. And I know that we are at time, so just wanted to take this quick plug before you go. Please take a moment to complete our exit ticket. It was entered into the chat too. You can take a picture of the left QR code. The right QR code. And if you're interested in learning more about the work that we've done, if you're nervous about collecting data, if it's overwhelming to think of building a new program, that's why networks like this coalition exist. As just one more example, building off the great work of all of these members, together we developed a data sharing agreement with a campus, Cal State East Bay, that leverages that data sharing for multiple organizations across multiple communities so that we can use that real-time data to help triage limited resources and capacity, again, across different models in different places. So if you'd like to join our committee meetings, learn more about topics like how to share data with campuses in K-12, how to start partnerships with workforce, employers and campuses, encourage you to take a snapshot of that QR code on the left to contact us. We would love to have you join us. So last, just want to say thank you again to all of our incredible panelists. Thank you to our steering committee who governs our coalition and our work. Thank you to our advisory council, including Community College Chancellor Eloy Ortiz-Oakley. We are a partner of the I Can Go to College campaign. Thank you to advisory council members, UC President Dr. Michael Drake and former Mayor of Stockton, Michael Tubbs. And one final thanks to CSAC for bringing us all together through this two-day summit with you all. Really appreciate our panelists for your time, talent, and treasure today. Thanks, everyone. We hope to see you at another session or convening.
Thank you very much to our panelist team for sharing your expertise with all of our participants this morning. Please know that all of the presentation materials are or will be available on the SCED event platform. The recordings will be posted on the CSAC event webpage by tomorrow. We also welcome you to use SCED to provide feedback so we can continue to provide you with the support you need to implement the upcoming application completion requirement. Have a great day, everyone.